All right, so it's official. John Mateer is entering the transfer portal. And if you're an Oklahoma fan, this is big, big news because this is kind of the domino that we've been waiting to fall for Oklahoma football, especially in the transfer portal, so that they can gain some momentum finally. Now, obviously, nothing is guaranteed here. But today we have to talk about the impact of John Mateer hitting the portal, what this could mean for Oklahoma, and how they should proceed going forward. Before we do that, though, as always, make sure you join the discussion. Jump in the comments below. Give me your thoughts. Ultimately, do you think John Mateer will land at Oklahoma? Additionally, if you have not already, make sure you hit that like and hit that subscribe button. Wipe your feet. We're doing transfer portal and recruiting content all off season. You're not going to want to miss it. We do it every single year. So tap in, let me know you're here, and let's just jump into it. So the 5'11, 219-pound quarterback, originally hailing from Little Elm, Texas, not even like a 2-hour drive, guys. John Mateer has entered or is planning to enter the transfer portal. And this is big, big news because Oklahoma's kind of been waiting to see if this is going to happen. Well, let me phrase this. Oklahoma fans have been waiting to see if this is going to happen. You felt like the staff had a plan, like they knew this was going to happen because they weren't really pursuing any other quarterbacks. But John Mateer enters the transfer portal here. And at the time, I don't know, at the time of recording this, I don't know if it's a do not contact tag or not. But if it does have a do not contact tag, that's going to be pretty telling that Oklahoma is in good shape here. If it doesn't have a do not contact tag, obviously at this point, Oklahoma fans are going to have to watch schools like Michigan. You're going to have to watch Miami. You're going to have to watch Missouri. Those are all three schools that will pay for a quarterback in this transfer portal cycle that need a quarterback next year. In Washington State, they love them some Washington, or Miami loves them some Washington State quarterbacks. Look at Cam Ward. All right. So John Mateer last season threw for 3,139 yards, 29 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. And I'm going to re-emphasize the 7 interception portion with 29 touchdowns because he was sacked 31 times. Jackson Arnold was sacked 34 times, didn't have anywhere near the yardage, anywhere near the touchdown rate. He was like 3 interceptions, so less interceptions than John Mateer. But this tells you, with 31 sacks, John Mateer can perform under pressure. And if you're an Oklahoma fan, this is good news. This is what you want. You want to go out there, you want to target a guy, you want to get a guy that has production and can produce under pressure, even when the offensive line isn't performing well, because in the SEC, doesn't matter how good your offensive line is, some of these defensive linemen and edge rushers are going to be able to get to your quarterback. It's just how it is. John Mateer also rushed for 178 carries for 826 yards and 15 touchdowns. So very similar to what we saw Jackson Arnold, right? He is going to be a little bit more of a mobile quarterback, right? They're going to utilize him in a scheme, and there are going to be defenses in the SEC where I think you can use this and take advantage of that. So if Oklahoma can pick up John Mateer, this is huge. And I say if, I think everybody expects at the time I'm recording this for John Mateer to end up at the University of Oklahoma. There's just too many things pointing him in our direction. Little Elm, Texas. It's just a drive up the road for his family to come watch him play every single Saturday. Then you look at the other aspect of this. His offensive coordinator, Ben Arbuckle, is now here. His quarterback's coach, Gasheshki, has just been hired here, right? So I think there's a lot of things in Oklahoma's favor that even if this does turn into, hey, I want to go see some other schools, that Oklahoma could go out there and land him. Now, the other big thing here is Oklahoma might want to go ahead and get this locked down pretty quickly. Because, in my opinion, the reason why you have not had a ton of success on the transfer portal and being able to get guys to shut down their recruitments and commit to Oklahoma and why they're still shopping is because you have no vision at quarterback right now. Yes, you have Michael Hawkins, but Michael Hawkins is going to be a true sophomore. And I think Oklahoma would probably like to redshirt him next year and not have him play a ton so that he can develop for a year and still have some years of eligibility the post John Mateer side. So there's not really a whole lot of vision right now for Oklahoma at the quarterback position. When I say vision, again, I'm talking about production and things like that. Obviously, Hawkins is talented. He just needs some time to develop with an actual quarterbacks coach. So, if you get John Mateer, you look at a guy, obviously, clearly like Chris Hudson. This is one of the first guys you identify as a guy that might want to come play here alongside Mateer. He played with Mateer out at Washington State. 54 receptions, 683 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5'11", 175 pounds. I think some USC fans would like to see Chris Hudson end up out there as well. But Chris Hudson would be a great addition to this Oklahoma team. Now, another guy that, before we go into some more wide receivers that I think could potentially end up here now that you have a guy like John Mateer potentially coming, and then you also look at a guy like Chris Hudson that might want to jump on board with Mateer, is a guy like Ethan O'Connor, the true freshman cornerback out from Washington State. Remember, he was here on a visit, then he went to Miami. I know he's going to a couple other places, but this past season, he had 32 total tackles, 9 assists, 23 solos, 4 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 8 pass breakups. He had a 50% completion percentage when the quarterback threw to his side of the field. So kind of like Eli Bowen, really high ceiling, a lot of potential there. And, Ethan O'Connor's 6'1", not a smaller dude. So if you're an Oklahoma fan, you like that. You want Ethan O'Connor, and getting John Mateer on your side, I think would help a lot in the Ethan O'Connor sweepstakes, because Ethan O'Connor is going to be a guy that's wanted across college football. So looking at another guy that Oklahoma could go out there and pursue is a guy like Javon Gibson, the 6'4", 215-pound wide receiver out of Abilene Christian. He's a junior, so I believe he'll be going into senior year. 23 receptions, 335 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's got the frame, right? So many people have asked, how do you replace Nick Anderson? You replace Nick Anderson with a guy like this. Gibson's got the frame. This is a guy that Oklahoma could target. He's got some production there. I think it's a guy they feel really good about. So we'll have to keep our eyes on Gibson, see what Oklahoma wants to do. Then you look at a guy like Isaiah Satanga from Arkansas, 5'11", 185 pounds. This past season, 37 receptions, 491 yards, 1 touchdown. And remember, some of these names we have not talked about in a minute. And it's because maybe Oklahoma hasn't been super tied in yet. And I think, once they get a guy like John Mateer on campus, which I think they're going to get him on campus. That's my opinion. I think they're getting him on campus. I think it's going to help being able to get in some of these wide receiver races. And that's where we get into some of the guys that maybe we're not talking about enough. And Eric Singleton Jr., Oklahoma was not on his final schools list. And it doesn't matter where he says he's committed to. It only matters until he shows up to class. If Oklahoma is able to get a guy like Eric Singleton after they get John Mateer on campus, they can start to pay money to kids. They can really convince a guy like Eric Singleton to come to Oklahoma. So I'm watching that. Does Oklahoma kick the tires, circle back around to Eric Singleton? I go down and I look at a guy like Mario Craver. This is a guy that a lot of people love. 5'10", 180 pounds, quick, speedy wide receiver. You have Eric Rivers, a guy that was 5'11", ton of production in the portal from FIU. CJ Daniels he's got the size, 6'2", 205. That's one of the things that you're looking for, because you didn't get a Reggie Virgil who had size and production, who ended up going to Tech. But also, does Oklahoma circle back around to him now, right? Probably not, but it's always possible. This is one that I've seen a lot of you guys in the comments talking about that we haven't really talked about. I'll believe it when I see it. Malachi Coleman, 6'5", 210 pounds. So there are options for Oklahoma in the portal. It's not over, but we'll have to see what's going to happen. Does John Mateer commit to Oklahoma? That's the big take of the day after he enters the transfer portal. So jump in the comments below, join the discussion. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are.